Today we're talking to St Albans City manager Ian Allinson down on Canvey Island, where the Saints have gone down to a 3-2 National League South defeat to Concord Rangers. A dramatic match, Ian. We were 2-0 down, we got it back to 2-2 with a goal, sensational goal by Ben Hurd 2 minutes into added time, but we still managed to lose.
Yeah, very disappointing. Disappointing from the fact is that I didn't feel we started the game very well. I felt we were second best all over the park. Full credit to Concord, they came out and closed us down very quickly. And just give cheap goals away again, and it's again that first 20 minutes where we're not defending very well. We give a goal away from a corner again, a free header, where we've gone through set pieces again before the game, so everyone knows their jobs. And then I felt we got a little bit back in the game then, and then the second goal really was a poor goal. It's our free kick. We haven't defended it very well in terms of once the ball's then been charged down, and before we know where we are, they've put it in the back of the net and we're 2-0 down. And at half time, we could have quite easily folded, but the one thing we said at half time, we need to go and match their commitment in terms of their work rate, which we did. We started to pass the ball better. And in the end, we got back in the game. We was always going to leave ourselves a little bit exposed to the counter attack because of the way we was playing, and a couple of times they got in behind us. But Rusty's made a couple of good saves. But again, we got 2 good goals, both goals from sort of 20 yards really. I mean, Sean scored a good goal, and then Ben Hurd's goal was a fantastic goal. It's come out, he did it on the full volley, and I just think we got this mentality there that we could go and win the game, and sometimes you might have to take your medicine, take your draw, walk away from it, and say, well, that's another point gained. And unfortunately, we got done by a sucker punch. Really, we didn't defend the first ball, which James Russell's against made a great save, and then I got a throw on out of it, and we just I think we went lazy again. We didn't defend properly, but one long throw on, one flick, and the fellas rifled it in the bottom corner, and it was a shame because I felt on the second half performance we deserved to get something out of the game, and it would have been good to get something out of the game. But as you said, we can't give teams 2 goal starts and expect to keep coming back every week.
Well, throughout the season we've made a habit of scoring late goals, but this habit also of conceding early ones. It means we're chasing a lot of games early on. Yeah,
without a shadow of a doubt, I think it's happened. I mean, we haven't kept a clean sheet since December the 10th against Margate. So there is things we're working on, as we said before. We've brought players in now that hopefully will be better for us in terms of the defensive side of it. So we've just got to keep working hard. There's nothing we can do. As I say, we've got to wipe our mouths. We've got to take it on the chin, and we've got no divine right to turn up in this football league and win every single game. We have to work hard. Teams are working extremely hard against us. We've given ourselves a reputation over the last sort of 11 months in terms of the way we've played football, and teams are going to come out and try and stop us playing. Full credit to Concord. They're in a precarious position there, and they could have quite easily turned up today and got frightened, but they worked extremely hard. They put us under immense pressure from the first whistle, didn't allow us any space, and it was a tough game. And to come back from 2-0 down was a great credit to the lads. They listened to what we had to say at half time, and we just, as I say, we just had to change the shape slightly, but just not quite good enough in the end. We just, as I say, switched off in the 93rd minute.
Well, last season we came here and defied the odds to get a win which kept alive our hopes of staying in Conference South. This time Concord Rangers have done it to us, and you praised them for it. But I think you said 7 there without a win now. 7 consecutive games also conceded 2 or more goals.
Yeah, and they're all the things we have to have a look at. As I said, we could quite keep setting up on a defensive side of it, but at the moment, if we set up quite defensive, we still concede goals. So we're trying to be on the front foot. We're trying to get players in the side that can score us goals. We've got sort of 4 or 5 forwards there now, and they're all the things we need to try and be positive about. We need to try and score goals, but also that when we do attack, we need to be aware that we can't leave ourselves exposed at the back. And as I say, you can all the formations in the world makes no difference. At the end of the day, if we don't defend properly from a set piece, like the first goal, we get caught out. If we don't put the ball out for a throw on, for the second goal, which we should do, we're trying to keep the ball in play. We've pulled out of a challenge. We've let the ball run, and when we, a little bit of luck on their side, but before we know where we are, we're 2-0 down. So they're all the things we have to keep working on. We have to just keep sticking to basics. We have to defend better than what we've done, but that's defending from the front as well as the midfield and the back 4 and the goalkeeper. So they're all the areas we know we have to improve in. But at the moment, it seems like we have to score sort of 3 goals every game just to win a game. So we've got to keep improving on that side of it. We've got to keep making sure that we defend correctly, and hopefully we can start picking up some results as we go into February.
Throughout the season, you've praised Sean Lucy and the way he's been in training. He hasn't always taken that form onto the pitch, but the last 3 games when he's come off a bench, he has made a big impression, and that was a great goal today.
Yeah, he's been excellent, and as I say, his own performances in training, we've said before, he trains very, very well, but I feel away from home sometimes that it's difficult. If we can't get him the ball, he becomes a bit of a passenger, and I think we showed that at Oxford City, where we couldn't get him enough of the ball, and it became just a bit of a slog in midfield. So some games we have to just obviously go a little bit stronger in midfield. I felt by having the three in midfield today was the right way. Obviously, once we're 2-0 down and we've got nothing to lose, and everybody wants to express themselves on the ball, it's easy to get Sean on and then get him out wide. And as you said there, he was excellent when he came on, and he's been like that coming on against Maidenhead, and he was like that coming on against Hemel. So we know what Sean can do. No one's ever going to be able to say that Sean Lucian is not a good footballer, and that's why we brought him to this football club. But as we've said all along, we need a consistent Sean Lucian that's going to play well for 90 minutes every single game. And some games this year we've had quieter spells for him, but that's not from the fact he's not trying. It's just that sometimes we can't get the ball to him, and if we can't get the ball to any wide player, any winger, then we're always going to struggle to have wingers in the game. Today's second half we managed to get a lot of the ball to him. He scored a great goal and was on hand for one or two obviously other opportunities we created.
Sam Merson has saved points for us in their last two league games as Maidenhead and Hemel with last-minute goals. No place for him in the starting line-up today. Charlie Walker took his place. Is Charlie fully fit yet, Ian?
Charlie's fully fit. Yeah, we just need to get some games. He hasn't obviously played the amount of games that some others have played, but again, it was just me looking at Jamie and Charlie in the game on Tuesday night. We played a game on Tuesday against Barton Rovers, and as a pairing I thought they paired up very, very well. But you've also seen that when Sam comes off the bench, he's a good asset to bring off the bench, where sometimes when we've started him we haven't had the same personnel coming off the bench in terms of giving us a little bit more with a long throw, giving us more with his power in the air, and obviously with the goals he scored coming off the bench. So we all know that there's a squad, and this is about being a squad at the end of the day, and we've got sort of 17, 18 players there, and we'd have to I don't want to be rotating the squad at the end of the day, but we're going to have to play players that are in form, and I felt Charlie's performance on Tuesday night was very, very good. Him as a pairing with Jamie Curtin was good, and that's why I went with that today.
A rotten question. Do you think you know your ideal starting 11 at the moment? Because obviously we are letting in too many goals. Are we scoring enough? We're getting 2 a game, suggests we are. Are you happy with that 11, or are you still looking at
Well, I think,
players?
as I said before, and I've said it 2 weeks ago, I think the problem we've had is that obviously we lost Junior Moraes, and then we've lost Ryan Johnson and Dippo. So we've lost 2 or 3 players. 1 or 2 players have gone through a little bit of lack of form, lack of confidence. So we're trying to bring them back in terms of their performances. But it's okay looking at ourselves all the time. We can do that. But you also got to give the opposition some credit. A lot of teams have come and set up slightly different against us. A lot of teams last year. Remember, we was the whipping boys last year, and teams didn't really show us much credit and much in terms of respect. So when we actually went at them and caused them problems, before they knew where they was, we were sort of 2 or 3 goals up. So a lot of teams set up slightly different. A lot of teams show us a lot more respect now and credit than what they did probably 11, 12 months ago, and we have to accept that. But first and foremost, what you have to do in football, you have to earn the right to win a game of football, and I don't think we earned the right to win a game of football today. I felt we were second best all over the park for the first 45 minutes. We didn't win enough second balls, we didn't pick up enough second balls, and if you're not going to do that, you're not going to win a game of football. And it doesn't matter what shape we play, what personnel play, who plays where or what. It's about having a little bit of heart and desire, and we didn't have that in the first 45 minutes. Second half, we had it. We had the heart and desire. People were brave, got on the ball, and worked the ball, and we were much better. But whether we've got 16 players, 18 players there, I think you've seen it today with Liverpool. They've got sort of 36 players, and he rotates it every week, and they've lost again to Wolves today. So it's not about formations. It's not about what personnel you play. It's about having that heart and desire. And if you've got that first and foremost, then you're going to actually get results, because our quality that we've got in this team will come through in the end.
Prior to the match at Hampton in mid-December, we were the biggest challengers to Maidenhead United for the Championship. Now we're out the playoff places, and we slipped further away behind today in a game which many people would have expected us to win. We turned our attention to Welling on Tuesday. They were right down the bottom. They've shown signs of picking up lately. It's going to be another tough one.
I think every game in this league, as we've said it before, we've earned the right to have respect from the other teams, and every team that are going to come and play us now are going to show us that respect. But there's 16 games to go, as we've said before. We're in a position that's just outside that sort of 6 or 7 or 8 now. But we know with a couple of wins and a couple of 3-pointers will soon put us back in with the mix. It's how consistent we be. It's no good us being good for half a game here and half a game there. And as we've been in the last 3 games, we've got to be consistent for 90 minutes, and we've got to get that back first and foremost. Once we get that side back to the game, then we can start picking up more points. But the main thing at the moment, we need to start winning some games, which we know that. We need to start keeping some clean sheets. We need to know that, and once we do that, then we'll start picking up some results, picking up some wins, and that will bring us back into the chasing, into the pack that's obviously we've got to start chasing now.
There's a very small group of supporters, very vocal in their criticism of some players. I think they got some back today from certain people. This is time everybody needs to get behind the players, isn't it?
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. As we said before, it's all about, as a club, coming together. And the supporters have got their right to have their complaints, but as I've said all along, if you've got a complaint, be respectful with the complaint, and don't be disrespectful, and certainly foul and abusive language at the players isn't going to be any way of obviously improving that side of it. So they've got a right to complain at times, but if they show people aren't showing any passion, they've got a right to show, because obviously that's what football is all about. But we need to stick together, as we've said all along. We've got no divine right to win this league. We've got no divine right to be in these playoffs. We've got no divine right to be 8th in the league at the moment. It's been a long, hard 11 months. I think we're further on than where we was when we came in 11 months ago, and no one's going to give up fighting to try and first and foremost keep this football club in this league. Secondly, try and get into the playoffs, and thirdly, see where we end up at the end of the season. But what we have to do first and foremost is all stick together, work extremely hard, stick together as a group, and then hopefully we can get some results at the end of it. But first and foremost, we've got to go and pick some results up and turn around the poor form we're in at the moment. And if supporters are going to moan about that, that's not going to do the players any good, because obviously confidence is where we need to get players back onto at the moment.
Getting back to the players, George Casey was on the bench today, presumably he's fit again. Lee Chappell, presumably he's had an injury, although that's what, a third successive game he's come off, first successive league game.
I just felt I needed to change the shape. I went with 3 in midfield and I just didn't think it was working. And it showed in the last 2 games. It's everyone, we can start 4-2-4, but we started 4-2-4 at Oxford and got beat, so we can go back to shape. It's, as at the end of the day, you need to have desire and you need to have attitude and you need to win your personal battles, and whether we play 4-3-3 or 4-5-1 or 4-4-2 or 3-5-2, if you don't earn the right to win a game of football, it doesn't matter what shape you play, what side you play, you have to earn the right. And I took Lee off at half time and put Sean Lucien on. We changed our shape slightly. Obviously it helped us more in the second half, but we're already 2-0 down, we're chasing the game, so that becomes easy. We've got to go and make sure that we're in the game in the first minute, from the first minute, and at 45 minutes we're still in the game, because I feel with 20 minutes to go in most games we seem to finish stronger than most teams, and that's what we've got to try and do. But if you're 2-0 down and you're chasing the game, it's always going to be difficult. So no, Lee wasn't, there's nothing wrong with Lee. At the end of the day he was fine. I just wanted to change the personnel and put some different shape into it.
Lovely, thanks very much, Ian. So Saints next in action this coming Tuesday, 31st of January, when Welling United are visitors to Clarence Park, National League South, and kick-off is at 7:45 p.m.